If only we all had holodecks in our homes. Then we would have nothing to complain about destinations and where we'd want to go because we'd all have it in our holodeck. Right? Well, it dawned on me today that I'm using my house as if I'm going from one destination to another. I spend most of my time in my studio here where I have this set up. We use it as a place away from home. We watch TV up here. This is where I do all my creative work. And it's on the second floor of my garage. And what's kind of cool is I've got a catwalk that goes across to the second floor of the house. And you know, when I leave here and go over there, it's like I'm going to a new destination. That's kind of cool. And then today I took an extra destination and I went into my garage and built some stretcher bars for canvas. And I thought I might share with you today. And I videotaped it, and it's raining out, so my hair isn't great. But I thought I'd go ahead and share this video with you. Let's see. It took me a little while to figure this out. Also, I do want to mention, before I get to that, that I do have a fundraiser going on. As it turns out, none of the federal options are working for me right now. The PPP, it's still in the Senate. It passed the Senate. It needs to go to the House. And as the news this morning, I think the news is there to just make me angry. I really think that that's their main goal. It's just when you watch it, you're supposed to get mad about something. You can't just go, yay. There's a report out that several large corporations took out their, what was it, the $10 million max. And the banks, they were more than happy to lend that to them because that's less paperwork for them to do. See how quickly, all that money can go if you give it to large corporations asking for the max, rather than doing 100 smaller loans or maybe even 1,000 smaller loans to fill up that 10 million. Let's see. Yeah. Exactly. And so it was intended for small businesses, mom and pops, to keep Main Street up and running. But that's not how it worked out, did it? And it's all about connections and who you have connections with and who can make their life easier. And then there's also the CARES Act, which also offers the unemployment for self-employed people. And that, again, in Kansas, they haven't quite figured it out. I did talk yesterday to a human being there. I mentioned this yesterday, but I talked to a human being there. And so a couple days ago, I just had to put up a white flag. And it took everything in me to go and ask help from my community. Art Print Express is a niche. It provides fine art prints for digital images. And I also offer digitizing, but that part of my business I can't do because I'm not set up at home to do that. Besides that, I'm supposedly, I'm exposing myself. And if I'd meet them there, that would be, what do they call that? The travel, the unnecessary travel. So I'm kind of stuck. And so I did put up a white flag of surrender that I need some help. And I want to thank everybody who's already donated or bought prints. Some people are choosing to buy my work, which is awesome. I'm so excited about that. And I thank you for buying my work. And you can also buy, I mean, if you've got a picture on your phone that you really would like to have, like a canvas print or a paper print that you'd like to put in a frame that you've got, I'd like to, my framing is out because both of my framing warehouses are also in the stay-at-home status. So I'm doing what I can. All of my materials for the prints, though, however, those warehouses are working. They are continuing to work. And I haven't gotten any updates from either one of my others. One's located in Kansas City, and that's a really higher incident of the virus than it is in Topeka. And the other one's in Wichita. Again, Jackson County, Wyandotte County, and Sedgwick County are the places that are getting hit the hardest in Kansas. And those are places that my warehouses are for framing. However, I can still do the printing because these warehouses are still sending me stuff as requested. Inks and paper and canvas. So there's my, so anyway, there was no other option. And I had a wonderful artist today drop by and left me a donation. So I can't tell you how much it really, really means to me. So I got my friend Jennifer, she's texting me. Okay. I'm going to tell her I'm live. Anyway. Okay. So I got to get this. Okay. So, oh, she wants to get on. Let me just tell her to FaceTime me. Let's see if I can get her on.
You said you're live?
Yes, just a minute here. Let me see if I can get you on here live with me.
Oh, I'm not going to be in the image.
You don't. Okay, you can just be. Let's see. Maybe let me get my phone.
Just be a voice.
I got my phone here. Let's see if I can get you closer. There you go. Go ahead and say something. Let me see if it'll. Oh, you're making lots of noise. Okay, it's Jennifer on the phone. So what do you want to say?
Well, it was an unexpected call, but hello, everyone.
Well, yeah, I don't look that great either, by the way. So you're happy, shiny face. See, I don't. I'm going to show her what I look like.
Oh, I'm looking at you on Facebook.
Yeah.
Fine.
Yeah. Okay. So anyway, this is fun.
Well, we were talking about. I was just texting you about how you told me one of your customers came to pick up their prints they ordered and then also gave you a donation. And I told you, see, people love you. Those that can help, do so.
Yes, thank you.
And that's what makes the difference is when people are struggling, it's the community that we have around us. And it doesn't necessarily just mean, the Topeka area, like everyone here, but it means, your posse, your friends, your customers, your family. If they can help, they do so. And that can even be just sharing your fundraiser effort. Sorry, I'm losing my voice. It could just be sharing your fundraiser effort, and that, by doing so, I was able to get someone who was kind of aware of you because she knows that when I illustrate things for her, I get my prints from you.
Yes.
Because, they have the Art Print Express Gicle insert in the bag.
Uh-huh.
She was able to share that, and she's going to try to get a couple photography friends involved with getting canvas prints from you, and so that can also be towards some of your goal that you're trying to do.
Yes, everything counts from sales to the fundraiser in order to make it work, because I would prefer to make the sales work, and because I'm working so hard on I mean, the only way I can accept orders now is online. So anyway, my reach isn't big enough. I mean,
Right.
so and I've tried to get and the thing is, I have tried to figure out online marketing is its own thing. I do really well face to face, people who know me, but it's when you're a stranger online, and that's one of the reasons I guess I've been doing the lives, so that people can maybe get to know me and realize I'm human and
Yeah,
approachable.
You're not a call bot from India or China trying to take the money.
Exactly.
You're a local business. You're in Fleming Place. You're next to the grocery store people go to, or where Blackbird's Coffee, where they pick up their morning cup of joe. Stop by, check out some art. There's note cards. I'm in the back. They can come down the hallway just to see me. They don't need permission. They can just walk down there and check out note cards or little art. I mean, we both sell art, and we both we're kind of multifaceted. And probably if we can stay in business throughout this stuff, then we can have a little more stuff for sale that's not just art on mugs or coasters, but we can possibly sublimate and actually get full colored t-shirts and other products, which is huge. That opens up a lot more avenues for artists who people run out of wall space at some point. And I'm one who like to change my art up a little bit, but at some point there's only so much art you can have on your wall and in storage. So then, okay, well, let's make it wearable, let's make it shareable, turn it into fun things. We could sublimate it and put it on wood, and you could have something even more unique that creates gifts. And it's just during this time everybody's without money except for the essentials, and if we want to keep our small businesses and not turn into a Starbucks and McDonald's, then we need the fundraising and the business.
Yes, exactly. Yep. Yeah, you and I have had some talks about all the things that we could do. Just think about the plans I had for this year, and it was really a tough blow coming home, and then trying to figure out what I could offer and what was available from home. And and I've had to turn away several people asking me to photograph their work, and that's like one of the best parts of my job. Is I get to see people's work and what they're doing.
Yeah. Well, and that, for me, because I interned with you for a year or two or however long, and then I just kind of stuck around. You couldn't get rid of me. I was like the gum on your shoe.
Yeah.
But, it was a fun process to learn how to photograph the artwork. And little do people know, a lot of that artwork they got back is stuff that I did.
Yes.
And they approved it. And it was exciting because that meant that I now mastered Photoshop in a real world setting.
Yeah,
and,
exactly.
And I do miss seeing your customers come in, because some of those became my customers, which was awesome. Getting to, create logos for them, for their business, and do some online marketing for them. I started doing that for a few existing customers I had, and I was actually on a roll right up until the week we were told we couldn't be in there. And it's just, without better micro businesses like we are, without them being open, I can't be open. So I'm like, we gotta have something in place so that when this is done, we have a purpose and we have a job. It's nice to have a job.
I just put your website up. It's makerofgoodthings.com.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's new stuff being uploaded a lot. I will say the t-shirts and stuff, I think that they are being fulfilled just a little slower than the 2 or 3 week timeline because of the guidelines in place for essential businesses. But the note cards are fulfilled by me at home. They get shipped out typically the same day or the very next day. and there's free shipping on all note cards and prints that are, I think the free shipping is on the note cards right now only. But if you're serious about wanting a print out of anything, let me know. We'll work out something. I'm flexible. I'm nice.
Yes, and you're another one of my artists that sells regularly and orders prints. So she gets her prints through me, and so that, it's a nice partnership. And I also get to not be alone all the time at work.
Well, me too. And sometimes I miss you a lot. So in the house, I just randomly go, "Hey, Michelle," just because I don't want to forget how to pronounce your name when this is over. I'm gonna need those vocal cords and check to yell at you from down the hallway.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, and that life has changed so much. As I don't know if you caught me on earlier. I was talking about I've made a habit of thinking of going from one place to another in the house as a destination.
Oh yes, that's what I was getting ready to respond to, and you told me you were live. I was like, oh, I'm sitting here texting you while you're live because I wasn't sure if you were actually gonna go.
I know.
On
I told you I was kind of blah about doing it, but well, the weather, it's kind of, it's not exactly raining right this second, but it's still got that oppressive weather thing going on. And my fibromyalgia makes me really sensitive to that. And so it takes a lot of mental fortitude to just say, okay, I'm just going to do it anyway. Just go. Yeah. So that's what I did today. And I made a special destination into the garage where I put my stretcher bars together. So I made some stretcher bars today, and the video wasn't that great, and I wasn't real excited about showing it. So I'm glad you called instead.
Yeah, well, it's always nice to hear my voice.
Yeah, it is. So it is. Yeah. Well, you might think it's nice, but I think it's nice. I also like to see your face.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm in my jammy jams, and I've just been in bed all day drawing and hanging out. So wasn't really big on actually being on your FaceTime live because, I mean, I never wear makeup or really do my hair anyway to begin with, even when we're at work. I just throw a cardigan on and somehow the look pulls itself together. But this is like I went to bed with my hair wet, and I've got naturally curly hair. So I kind of look like that baby orangutan you've seen pictures of.
Oh.
And with glasses. Yeah, no, mine's way worse than that. Even my hair tie snapped because my hair was too thick and poofy. So, and I haven't even made it out of bed to replace that hair tie, so it's pretty bad.
You know what? This sounds like a CV-19 problem.
It does.
I mean, these are problems that you would have because you're staying at home all the time.
Oh. My hair tie wouldn't have been worn out, so I feel like I need to be compensated for that 5-cent piece of elastic that broke, because normally it wouldn't be in my hair that much. But yeah, I've been kind of doing the same thing, talking to my husband. He's like, I'm surprised because, it is kind of gloomy out. I'm surprised you haven't been putzing around outside because it's not really raining. And I was like, well, I said later today. Now, this is normally I would plan my day. I would, when I was working and it was a day off, I would plan my day like, okay, so Saturday when I get off work, I'm going to go out into the garage and clean it and straighten up some gardening stuff, or, plan it that way. Now that we're home all the time, it's like, well, I haven't left the bedroom because that whole outside the bedroom thing is a different realm. So yes, it's like, I thought about planning going out to the garage later because I've set up a sewing station in there with a couple of my card tables, and I've been sewing face masks to make a little bit of money. $10 for a face mask if you need one, holler. I'm just like, whatever, I'm pimping everything right now. I don't care. You need a dog to play with? I've got a little gremlin here who just loves to chase. $5 will get you 20 minutes of playtime. But no, so like, it's like, yeah, I'll probably make an adventure to the garage, but I've got to mentally work up to that right now.
Isn't that's just so true? Um, it's like being held. I mean, we're like in a hostage situation. Not hostage. We're obviously a lockdown situation. Yep.
Yeah.
And I think
Look
that
at
I've
every room as
only.
an adventure. When you go take a bubble bath at the end of a hard day of doing pretty much nothing, well, break out the Epsom salts, get the candles lit, put some, one of those little bath bombs or something in there, because some people will never light a candle because they think it's for special occasions, and I got over that. I'm like, go ahead and use all your special occasion stuff now, because now is the best time I think everyone needs to use their scented candles that they've been saving, or your special place settings at the table. Make it kind of fancy for yourself. I was drinking orange juice out of a really pretty wine glass, and we don't drink, but I have really beautiful fancy glasses because sometimes you just feel bougie and you need some orange juice in a really pretty cup or a pretty glass.
Well, see, as long as I have my Wooby, I'm good usually.
Yeah, I've got my iPad, actually two of them now, so I'm probably gonna have to sell one of them because I don't need two of them. But it's kind of fun because I'll watch tutorials or TV on my iPad, and then I'll have my bigger iPad to draw on. But then I've got an iPhone here. It's like I'm all appled up, but it's like, gosh, do I really want to get rid of the other one? But I'm like, well,
Hold on to it.
somebody might.
Just hold on to it and see how it goes. I mean,
Well, I could get like $500 for it.
I know, but yeah, I the thing is, you're using it.
Well, it's a glorified TV right now.
Okay, but it's handy.
Yeah, it has been handy.
Yeah, because I saw the
Really?
size of your I saw the size of your TV. That's overkill.
Well, that was originally for a much larger house at the time.
Yeah. Anyway, so but it's still overkill. So do you think that being creative and thinking of each of these places in your home as destinations is something that's something that like creatives come up with because it's a way to cope?
I don't know, maybe. I look at the kitchen right now around 4:30 to 5:30. I look at it as a job. I have to go in there and I have to take a bunch of these ingredients and turn it into a meal. And that, to me, that's like going to work. But any other time throughout the day, I'm in there getting some ice water and putting some lime juice or something in my water to make it fancier. And then I don't go through my LaCroix, my fancy seltzer waters I always have in the shop that I just chug one right after the other. I'm starting to learn how to crush the seltzer water can on my head because, why not acquire some new skills during this time? But I don't know. Yeah, I don't think Corey looks at going from any room in the house as an adventure. But I do. Going out to the garage is an adventure. I have to unlock the door and, it's a whole new place.
Yes.
And
I know that when I went, it's been a while since I actually made any stretcher bars in the in the garage. And I'll tell you a secret. I love making stretcher bars.
I know you do.
And I know, but never the other people watching don't know that. There is something so simple about making them. They're like it won't fail you. I mean, it's building something. It's different than being creative. There's an end result, and it's every time it's going to be whatever it is that the work order says. And I worked in a frame shop many years ago before I started Art Print Express, and I always loved putting the frames together. So I don't know what it is exactly, but I do know that I've set up the shop area in there. Yeah, the shop area in my in the garage, so that I used everything that I had and then added just what I needed to without going for the really big expensive double saw and the schmancy V-nailer and all that stuff. I've got a simple V-nailer, and I've got set up, and I've got a simple saw that you can get at the store. You know, none of it's not,
Yeah.
and I have some pride in having that stuff. And it works. My plan worked for making those and making it simple every single time. And so I put on Guardian of the Galaxy channel on Pandora and just let it go. And it's my happy spot. I don't know. It's an escape. I think that I actually see little bluebirds and stuff and rainbows and lollipops when I go in there and actually start working on stuff like that. So there you go. If you order canvas prints, Michelle, there's a happiness that goes into your stretcher bars.
It's free love. Free love with every order.
There's something about being passionate about what you do.
Well, yeah, I get kind of excited because somebody might order note cards, and I know that doesn't seem like a big thing, but you can go to Walgreens and pick up some note cards, and they're not quite exactly what you want, but they say thank you or something. And I'm a huge dog fanatic, so I've been making a lot of the dog note cards, and then I made that pinata coronavirus with the guy in the hazmat suit and a pinata stick that says COVID-19 just beat it. And I've sold a few of those. So you have to have a dark sense of humor, I think, because if you don't laugh, you cry. So I try to, stay upbeat during this time. But I really do get joy when people send me like, hey, can you make, maybe a basset hound or a beagle or a lab? We have Tammy Branham is one who loves labs.
Yes.
And her husband is basically your customer, but she is basically mine because she always requests special things, and I'm always more than happy to accommodate. Hi, Carrie Bartlett's on. And Leslie Peterson, hello. I started a watch party.
You can see who's on. So, okay, you said that there was, all I see is people who actually comment. I suppose that I could go over, since I'm not like directing anything, I could go over.
There's a few people who joined us, and for those who aren't aware, Michelle just FaceTimed me out of the blue.
No, you called or you texted me during my live.
Yes, but you still FaceTimed me and did not warn me. So
you said okay, all right. I thought you wanted on.
No, I just said okay, like I meant as in I was acknowledging the fact that you were live and I was getting ready to switch to your face. Well, anyway, so we're talking about small businesses supporting us as a small business or a micro business. And I know like Leslie Peterson and Anita Young, you guys are small businesses. Leslie is, I'm going to mess up how you say it, but she's the wax lady. She makes people look pretty. Anita just paints beautifully and wonderfully. And having our businesses shut down during this time, like Anita can't sell things at some of the conventions that she would normally do. And so she's forced to do things online. But whereas Leslie, she can't wax people virtually, unfortunately. So there's going to be a lot of people coming out of this with probably a unibrow or no eyebrows. But we were talking about how for our small business in particular, so Michelle runs Art Print Express, where you can get your images, even if you're not an artist, but you have pictures that you want printed on canvas. That's something she actually does, and you actually get cotton duck canvas, and it's varnished, and it comes ready to hang, even with the little hanger and the nail. It's awesome the way she does stuff, but she's my printer, and I am in the back half of her store. So if her business tanks because of this COVID-19 shutdown, then so does mine. Because if she doesn't have a way to rent out her space, I have no way to work out of my space. So we were just talking about with her fundraiser going on, just trying to cover the overhead costs for now. But we were talking about supporting each other as small businesses and micro businesses just to get through, at least a month to cover costs. And then we were just kind of talking about what we do and how we have fun doing it.
Yep. So you did start a watch party. I
did.
Yeah, I went over and it's not showing me anything live on my Facebook.
Well, we've got Jude Simmons here. Jude is the guy who went to a Cure concert with me. But he's okay. So Rosie up on my easel, and you keep asking if I'm ever gonna finish Rosie.
Yeah.
That's his dog.
Okay.
So she's like 80% done. I just need to add the dirt he sent to me that I hounded him for. I need to turn that into a pastel stick, but I can't get in the studio now. And this would be like the best time to do it. It's just being isolated. I should just bring it home. And then Morgan Wells joined. Morgan's an old friend from high school, and Dawn is my little midget friend that lives south with the little boy that looks like his name's Kalen, but you pronounce it Callan, so I call him Caleb. Pete Nelson used to work with him. Hi, Pete. So there's a handful of people on my end that's joining this live thing with me, because I said I was your special guest because
yes, you are.
Surprise guest, because it was a surprise to me.
Well, that was miscommunication, and maybe I was just jumping on the opportunity. Because we haven't really talked much in the last few days, and you're always entertaining me. So,
well, we're around each other all the time usually, but now not so much.
Nope, not so much anymore. Well, hopefully soon. I don't know. It's hard as each day goes by.
Yeah.
But
then the other thing for the people who were just joining, the whole topic was really also just homeward bound destinations. Mm-hmm. We were talking about maybe it was just creative individuals, or is everyone turning different spots into their home as a different destination? Like, I've been sewing, and the only place I can sew is in my garage. So I set up a couple card tables out there with my sewing machine, and I've been, trying to make a thing of making a handful of face masks a day, for this, virus stuff going around. And, it's like, whew, that's work. I gotta talk myself into putting on pants to go outside. Because I'm not allowed outside without pants. My husband made that a rule.
Yeah, well, you're not also allowed in the studio. Well, and you're not allowed in the studio without pants either.
You told me I had to wear pants at the studio. I'm like, well, that sucks all the joy out of it. And then, going to the kitchen, well, that's work, because I have, even though it's my husband, he still expects me to feed him at least once a day. So around this time of day, I'm forced to go in the kitchen, not just for fun to get a snack or some water. I have to figure out what I'm going to do with all these ingredients to make it a meal. And I'm like, woo, that's exhausting. I used all my spoons to figure out what we're going to eat. And then, since Jagger passed away, he was in the studio a lot with us, and now I'm home with just Rio, who is lovingly referred to as El Diablo, and she's probably going to bark here in a second, because I've got the window open, and there's a car that just went down the street, and she's interested in it. But I have her to manage all day, and she's exhausting me. She's just a ball of fire 24/7. So I thought about.
So you do need a desk. You do need a destination. You need the studio destination.
The studio has been great. She hates car rides, but when I brought her to the studio a couple of times, I like bringing her in on a Saturday, because Saturdays are short when we were actually in business. But she knows there's lizards out in the courtyard, so if I can push my gray chair that I have set up for clients and put the dog bed on it and a pillow, she's tall enough now to see out the window, and she'll let me know when she wants out, because she starts poking out the window because she sees the lizards.
Everybody is fascinated by the lizards. I actually saw 3 lizards yesterday sunning themselves in the nice weather we had yesterday.
Hi, Valerie. My sister joined.
Hi, Valerie.
Slaughter. You spell her name laughter with an S, or slaughter, like where the cows go. She doesn't like when I say it that way.
Well, I'm glad Valerie's here. She can see how crazy we are.
Yeah, well, I think she already knows. She's put up with me for 40 years. She's my older sister. She's 6 years older. But she's also the one that got us in trouble a lot. Like, she kicked, when we were little, we lived near Wichita, Kansas, in a little town called Wellington. Some people know where that is. And we were outside, the good old days when you could, throw lawn darts at each other and you didn't think twice about it. We were kicking the ball up against the house, and our dad came out and told us to knock it off. And my sister Val, she was like, okay, just one more kick, and it went right through the window. She's also been accused of putting our homemade paddle in the fire.
You're telling stories on her. Now she's never coming back.
She never gets online to do anything online, so I figured this would be a great time to just start dishing out some stories.
Well,
I better be careful because she can type comments, and then people can see those.
Yeah, well, I've been on for a while. I usually like to try to keep these 20 minutes, but I think we're past that by now. Anyway, well, I'm glad that I asked you to come and see me online live. We need to do this more often.
Yeah, it's going to be beautiful tomorrow. I could be on the same network in your driveway tomorrow.
We could do maybe a Bob Ross or something.
Yeah.
Challenge.
I'm past my Bob Ross. I have been big into naive art right now, which I used to think was kind of funny because it does look sort of like a kindergartner's drawing, but I kind of have my own voice with the naive art, and it kind of reminisces the folk art, so I like that. I'm working on a Kansas kind of piece that I'm hoping I might actually start today. That was the goal, but I've spent most of the day just watching videos and playing on my phone, which is not productive. But yeah, so bye, Val.
She's out of here.
She's like, I'm gone.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks for starting a watch party. I don't even know how to do that.
I just learned there's a button, and it says invite or something like that, and you send a watch party, and I don't know, to chime in, and we'll have something to talk about, because most of the time we just sit there and talk to ourselves.
Yep.
Which works as well, because we're highly entertaining.
Well, we entertain ourselves at least, and hopefully somebody can find it entertaining.
Yeah, I ran across that photo a few minutes before you called me. I was just looking for a photo I thought I had for reference to paint some blue buttons. I have an order for a custom journal, and so I was looking for some blue button photos I had taken, and I ran across the photo where you had put saran wrap around my head for some kind of safety inside the shop, and that might have been when I actually fell out of my chair. I think that was the day I fell, like, completely out of my chair, tipped over.
Yeah, well, you leaned the wrong way, yeah.
I leaned the wrong way, I leaned too far or something, and who knew that a wheelie chair could completely just tip over on a concrete floor? Well, now I know, so... But that was fun. I still have those photos. And then when we used rods to find your diamond, I ran into that photo.
Oh, yeah.
That was fun.
That's a crazy story.
Talk about that sometime. Yeah, that was crazy. I would have never believed it had I not lived it. That was just insane.
Okay, we'll hold that story for another day, but we need to write that down. The diamond.
We'll have to tell a divining rod story and how we found a diamond.
Yes.
That was nuts.
And we did find it. It had been lost for months.
Yes. Was it months?
Months.
Yeah, I guess it had been a while, so.
It had been months.
Yeah.
I had run that cable anyway. We're trying to tell a story. We would run the cable from the router up into the ceiling, because we've got drop ceilings, over into the other room so that I could directly line in. And that was the day I lost my diamond.
From her wedding ring.
From my wedding ring, yeah.
The main diamond.
The only one.
The only one. And,
the gold has some.
It had been gone.
Yeah, see,
and you were
you can
upset
see it
about
right
it.
here in the picture behind me.
Yep, there it is. And yeah, so we got bored. This was during the summer. We got bored, and I don't know who thought of the divining
Oh,
rod
I
idea.
no, you were saying that you had watched some video on divining rods, and you were on the fence as to whether or not they worked. And,
Well, yeah, because you had talked. I think you had mentioned you had an aunt who used them to find where well water was.
no, my dad used them.
Your
Actually,
dad used
he
them. Okay.
hired someone to come in and use a willow branch to divine where the well was to be dug in our backyard. We had a good sized
Yeah.
backyard. We're in Kansas, big sized backyard. He had, I don't know, a lot of area for garden. So there was a tremendous. So he wanted to use well water, of course, instead of city water. And so yeah, that's when I was introduced to it. And the guy showed me how to do it. And apparently, not everyone has the technique, or they don't get it. You know, the divine rod doesn't necessarily work for them, and it worked really well with that. I mean, I could not hold it. That divining rod willow is a V shape with a branch on it on the back.
Yeah.
It's like a Y, and you hold it toward yourself, and you walk, and it will turn, and you can't hold it, keep it from turning, and it'll turn right down where the well should be dug.
Well, and when we used it for your diamonds, I think you had some like galvanized something that you kind of tore up from the closet from a sign.
Yeah, what they are were just metal rods.
Two L-shaped rods.
Yes.
That were about 18 inches, even with the bend in it, and about 4 inches. We learned that we needed something to kind of hold them, so we dismantled a couple of pins so we could have an empty kind of plastic, something loose, so we could hold the plastic, and then the rod part that you normally would hold would go inside the plastic and can move freely. And then we started asking questions. I think we were at it for like 3 hours?
Yes. It's a yes and no questions.
Yeah.
And they have to be specific. And more specific we got, the better answers we got. We didn't start specific.
We didn't start specific, and we were asking things like, is the diamond in the ceiling? And it would like go left for no, and they would swivel
right
really fast to the right for yes answer. And they would cross over each other if you were close or in the spot where you needed to be.
Yes, and so you would ask it, you know, that those were the yes no questions, and then to get you started, and then when we were asking about specific, is it in this room, is when you start asking it. You just actually walk around, and they'll come together and cross.
Yeah, and every time we were absolutely amazed because we're like, are you sure you're not doing it and move it? And so we would close our eyes so that we wouldn't like try to tilt our hands and try to hold perfectly still, and they would still move completely on their own only after a question was answered. And so in this 800 some square foot space, no, I wasn't in there yet, I don't think. So it was like 600 and some. Yeah, 600 and some square foot space. Lots of little nooks and corners, and in the little studio area where Michelle photographs and stuff, it can get messy in there because it's a production place. So there's, you know, tiny bits of glass and tiny bits of cardboard and papers, slivers. I mean, we're talking tiny little microscopic shreds
that the vacuum misses.
That the vacuum misses, that get piled behind, just like furniture in your house. And everything, we had pulled everything kind of out, and you've looked everywhere for it prior to this. And anyway, we ended up on the floor and asking specific questions. I have pictures of you, or a video of you laying on the floor. You were within an arm's reach of it, and we asked it, okay, is Michelle within arm's reach of, I mean, you were flat in the hallway on the floor. And we're like, okay, is the diamond within Michelle's arm's reach? And the thing just swung a hard right. And we're like, okay, which direction? It actually gave us guidance. And
It
I
was,
kid you not. We had, I mean, especially since we had taken insulation from the ceiling and shook it out and made even more of a mess. It was just kind of bonkers that
well, the thing
we were
is,
able to find this.
we were messing with the ceiling, and remember there was a sandy material that was on the ceiling panels.
Yeah, it was like
And
roofing
so
material.
the thing is, it was like, well, my guess was that the diamond was up there because it kept telling us it was up there, and so we kept messing with it, and then all of a sudden it changed its mind that it wasn't up there anymore. Remember?
Yep.
And then
Yep.
and so it must have fallen out from up there because that's where I had been putting my hands to put that wire in. Yeah, and it ended up being next to the baseboard in an area where I vacuumed on a regular basis.
Yep.
So it had to have fallen there that day.
Yeah, I mean, it was just very bizarre that we were able to find something so tiny in such a large space with other tiny little things. And I picked it up. You're like, that's it. And I'm like, I think it's a piece of glass because it was small. And we've been looking at tiny things all day. And you're like, that's it. And so I stuck it in one of your little clear bags. And I'm like, are you sure that you're like, that's my diamond, you know? And so then you got your ring fixed. And now the diamond's in your ring. So
It's in there.
So I guess we didn't have to save that story for another day, but
No.
maybe one day when we're allowed in the same space, we could do a divining session.
We'd
I
have to have
seriously
something lost that neither one of us knew where it was.
Yeah, yeah, that was funny. I felt like we were kind of in our own movie of practical magic, you know. I sometimes sit and stare at my coffee wondering if it'll stir itself, and I'm like, no, it doesn't work.
Well, I think the theory that I accept on the divining rods is that your body knows more.
Leave it.
Your body knows more than your senses. Your like your entire body has knowledge that your brain necessarily isn't picking up on. It's something that we're just not tapped into. And so when you use the divining rods, your body's got information that it's giving you. It's an opportunity for it. That's the what I accept. However, they've done scientific studies on these things, and most of the time when they do them that way, for instance, they have buckets with lids on them that there's only one of them that has a bottle of water in it. And so people who are diviners are asked to go out and pick where they are. And they don't actually hit it any more often than chance would say it would. However, I can tell you, I found my diamond.
Oh, sorry.
Found my diamond in less time than I think chance would have called for. So, did you go away for a second?
I'm still here. I'm
Okay.
just trying to get Rio to... I'm going to close the window there, and maybe she won't bark at the people outside.
Anyway, so there's our divining story. And, yep, I think that sounds all mystical and everything. But it was the most bizarre, unexplainable series of events that I've actually ever lived through. I have a couple others that are not as amazing. So I have a couple other stories that are similar, but none of them quite like that. Finding the diamond my husband gave me for our wedding. That just, yeah. That's way more, adventures. We just took everybody on a destination.
We did. We took them on a trip, I would say.
Mind trip.
They're like, yeah, you girls are tripping. Probably so. We've been cooped up. We're used to being out cooped. Well, we're cooped up in our own little space, which is like a home away from home. I miss it. It's kind of silly that even though we each have our own separated space, and the only shared space is the bathroom, technically.
Yes.
Even though we're always in each other's space, we technically have our own space that we can close close off and lock up, and we're not allowed to be in there. And even your doctor said, well, I don't see a problem with that, but we can't get anybody to figure out whether or not we actually could work in our own space, because we practice social distancing, and it sucks because I haven't been fishing with my dad but one time, and then it's been cold and rainy and whatever else, but I'm sure that's not going to keep us away from fishing for much longer once the weather gets nicer. So, but we won't be able to be on the boat for a while, so that'll be nice when we get to do that. Although
It'll be
you
extra
don't
special
like
then.
I do. I take off work early to go fishing on a nice day, because I'll go to the pond across the street, or go to one of these public access obscure lakes or ponds that you have to walk like a mile through the woods to get to, just because nobody else will be there.
Yeah. Well, Chuck's home now.
All right. Well, I'll let you go, and we'll say goodbye to everybody.
Okay, well, I want to thank everybody for coming, and thank everybody who has helped with the fundraiser, and or bought prints, because that's what I would prefer. So, and thank you, Jennifer, for coming on today and saving me from some boring video that was made to this afternoon. In my happy place, but I didn't come across as very happy.
Every day or so, anyway. So this is just, we're mostly just chatting and regaling stories and keeping our language clean for the listeners.
Trying. Yeah.
I'm mostly trying to entertain Rio.
This really made my day better. Thank you.
Thank you.
As you always do for me.
I am a blessing.
Yes, you are.
It's a blessing and a curse.
It's a blessing and a curse, is what Chuck just said.
Hey.
That's his opinion.
I'm counting my blessings. Ouch.
Hey, she gets the occasional rant that you don't have to put up with.
There you go.
Yeah,
See?
all day, every day. Michelle is like the person that keeps coming in the studio going, and another thing.
Yes.
Hey, you won't believe. And then you go out for a smoke and you come back in. You would not believe what I just heard. It could be fill in the blank, but it usually starts around 3:30 or 4 in the afternoon.
Yes, she's telling stories. I'm going to cut you off.
When we're both
We're
tired
cutting you off.
Anyway. You're cutting me off.
She was saying,
well, people are here for gossip. We ought to start a gossip channel and be like, guess who this is. But
Okay.
Yeah, so.
You're telling stories now. Okay.
That's okay.
I love you anyway.
I know. I'm a blessing and a curse.
Okay. Well, we'll see everybody later.
Bye.